Hi, I'm Drew Wilson from FreezeNet. Today, once again, we're going to be doing something a little different. Once again, the table is back, and as you can tell, probably going to be another show and tell thing. So, as you can tell by the title, I have a very specific topic in mind. I just wanted to take a quick moment to talk about what it was like playing on the PlayStation 3. I've been playing it for about a year now, so what was my experience like? And I can say it was fairly mixed, the hardware itself. The first thing that I wanted to do was be able to hear audio through a headset. And you'd think, like, no problem. This is a PlayStation 3. It has USB ports on the other end there. And obviously, there are plenty of headsets that do support USB things. And so you think, well, you could plug it in and no problem. I'll just, you can get the audio from the video game from there. What's more is that what it also supports is USB headsets, such as this. And I thought, okay, well, one way or another, I'm going to get this to work, and I can keep the peace in the house. I can play late at night without waking anyone up because I'm in a massive shooting thing or whatever, or there's massive explosions. I don't know what's going to happen, and I didn't want to interrupt anyone else in the house. And so you think, okay, no problem, just plug it in and play. Wrong, as it turns out. The problem is that when you plug in either a USB-based headset or a Bluetooth headset, the idea was that you could hear players that you were connected to speaking at the other end of the line. So you could hear them talk, you can talk back to them, and that's what the headset was about. And in terms of trying to get the audio from the game through there, not so much. It does not necessarily natively support that. So I had to do some really messy wiring, and I ended up having like a half a second delay on the audio, but I did eventually get the headset to work. And it's not perfect, and it can be a little bit picky at times, but I finally got something to work on that regard. The other problem I ran into was the controller. Now, if you remember from the last video, I had a whole bunch of controllers, like from the N64 and the Super Nintendo over here, and what you could see was I had a whole bunch of cables wrapped around like a million times and then plugged into the console. And all this time until this last year, I thought I didn't really appreciate how great it was to have a ton of slack on the controller until I played the PlayStation 3, which that is the extent of the length. And the problem with that is that if you were moving around, like maybe you sat back and relaxed, or you were really engaged, or you leaned to the left or leaned to the right, and plus some games have a gyro associated with it and it had the gyro sensor in the controller. And after a while, and it happened to me I think twice now, I ended up popping the USB out of the port, and I had no controller all of a sudden. So it was painful. And yes, I am aware that you can get wireless controllers for the PlayStation 3. This is just what came with the actual console itself. So there was two issues with that. The library, of course, as you could tell from the previous video, was that the games itself were actually pretty darn good. So anyway, I just wanted to offer a little tidbits of different things I experienced with the PlayStation 3. But of course, as you can tell by the title, that's not what this video is necessarily about. This is about this guy, the Xbox 360. And the Xbox 360 was basically one of the competitors to the PlayStation 3. It was released in November 22nd, 2005, and depending on the model, it was either 20 gigabytes or 500 gigabytes. You can get the S model or the older model. That also plays a role in that. This one happens to be a 250 gigabyte one, And it did support HD DVD, but that was discontinued and it lost the format war to Blu-ray. So it does read different discs that I could tell. So yeah, it was kind of had that format war going between the two consoles, as well as the fact that they're two different consoles from two different companies. And I know I haven't played very much in the way of Microsoft games, mostly just through third-party games for different platforms. So I know you can tell by the website, I played a lot of Nintendo games, I played a lot of PlayStation games, Atari games, but I think I wanted to round things out, and I got the Xbox 360, so I'm going to be checking out the titles of this. And one of the surprises I had when I bought this thing was the power brick. Now you might think power bricks are about maybe the size of your fist, maybe a little bit bigger depending on what you got. Well, this console has this monstrosity of a power brick. Like, look at how big this thing is. And like I've never had a power brick that was this large before in my life. I mean, this is like it's almost half the length of the console itself, and I was very surprised by that. I actually thought it was like maybe some sort of Kinect webcam thing or something like that when I saw it for the first time, but no, this is just the power brick. And the connecting thing too was it's a little bit more reasonable. I mean, it does sort of more closely resemble the actual what the other console had at the time. So yeah, that was definitely one of the surprises I had with that. And of course, as you can tell with my complaints about the controller for the PlayStation 3, this is the controller that comes with the Xbox 360, and I end up getting the wireless variety, and it was powered by two AA batteries, two of these guys, and I'm hoping that that makes moving around while I'm gaming a little bit easier. I can relax, I can get engaged, I can kind of lean to the left or right or whatever I feel like at the time. So it also doesn't have like the cross square thing. It has A, B, X, Y, so that's pretty standard as well. So I thought it was kind of an interesting thing to note about the controller itself. So maybe I've alleviated one of my problems at least. I don't know, but I can only hope, right? So the games itself, I remember when talking to people about the Xbox 360, I got a lot of mixed reactions. Like before with the PlayStation 3, everyone's like, oh, you're going to be in for a great time. There's a lot of great games on it. You're going to love it. And with the Xbox 360, the reactions were like, I don't really know much about that console. Yeah, I'm not sure what games are on it that'd be good. So, well, you know what? I'm a journalist, so I'm trying to find out what it was really like to play on the Xbox 360. So maybe I can help familiarize some of you with what was actually offered on this console. Who knows? So when I was researching, and this is probably going to be a bit of a spoiler for later videos, but some of the games that were featured on this console include Gears of War, and that was, I think it was a first-person shooter, so I'm going to be interested to see what that game was like. There was also the racing game of Forza Motorsport. There was also some Forza Horizon games, and that was definitely one of the game franchises that was on the Xbox 360. And of course, there was the flagship title of the Xbox console line, and that, of course, was Halo, and that started with Halo 3 for the Xbox 360. Halo 1 and 2 was on the original Xbox, so yeah, we started with Halo 3 and kind of moved up from there. It also had backwards compatibility. You could play older titles, so as of the recording of this video, I'm still looking out for the Halo 2 game and hoping that the backwards compatibility can play that title so I can get a better idea of the series. Wasn't a big fan of Combat Evolved, but I wanted to try and give this series more chances, just like I gave the other franchises more chances, and sometimes the payoff is pretty good. So another thing I think some people aren't familiar with are the cross-platform games that happen to be available on the Xbox 360, for instance. And one series that I think is, if you are familiar with the earlier titles, like on the PlayStation and PlayStation 2, was the Silent Hill series. And imagine my surprise, I didn't actually know this, but Silent Hill was available on the Xbox 360. And I'm like, I kind of took a minute to go, oh, that's interesting. I had no idea, but sure enough, stuff like Silent Hill was available on the Xbox 360 along with the PlayStation 3. So I'm going to be interested to play that. I've been kind of looking out for some of the later titles for quite some time, and I managed to snag the Xbox 360 titles, so I'm going to be curious to see what that game's going to be about. So that's basically what I had in store for you, and as I mentioned earlier, I had a bit of an announcement to make, and that was that I'm going to be doing 4 videos in a single month, and it's going to be going on a almost weekly basis. I'm not going to be doing a 5th video for months that have 5 weeks in it, but I will be doing 4 ones per week. And before, I had the first game was a Steam game. I had a PlayStation 3 title after that, the week after, and I've been kind of going back and forth on that. So at 4 titles, I am going to do a Steam game as before, a PlayStation 3 title afterwards on the next week, and then the week after, I'm going to be playing an Xbox 360 title. Now you might be thinking, okay, that's 3. What are you going to do for the 4th game? And I decided I'm going to just go back and play a Steam game. So 2 Steam games, a PlayStation 3 title, and an Xbox 360 title. And I think that kind of rounds things out a little bit better than before. And I'm curious what I'm going to be in for the Xbox 360, and I think it'll be an interesting adventure to say the least. All of this is, of course, time dependent, how much time I have. I may back off on the 4th title. I'm not sure yet. It all depends on how much time I have to record these videos, because this is a doubling of what I've already been producing. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully I can keep up with it and produce way more videos for you, more informative titles. So I guess that leads us to the conclusion. What do you think of the Xbox 360? Did you enjoy playing it? Were you familiar with the Xbox 360? Do you have any fond memories? Let us know in the comments below. Or do you happen to be someone who just experienced the PlayStation 3 and don't know anything about it? And let me know if you're interested in seeing what I come up with the Xbox 360. So far I came up with 4 titles, so I think it might be an informative look as we move forward for those of you who haven't played the Xbox 360. So if you want to support this channel, there's plenty of ways you can do that. You can drop us a like, and that lets us know, hey, you're doing a great job, and keep up the good work. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. That helps us out significantly as well. And if you want to turn on notifications, that lets us know, hey, a new video is up on FreezeNet, and you can check it out anytime you like. So it's a really cool feature. You might want to take advantage of that. What's more is there's other ways you can support us. You can check out our website at freezenet.ca, and on that site we have plenty of music reviews, video game reviews, and a lot of different news articles about technology, digital rights, privacy, a whole lot of interesting topics we cover on that site. That website also just so happens to have a full-fledged wiki, and you can explore different kinds of music you may not have otherwise heard of before. So it's an interesting tool to discover music right now, and there's a lot of content on there. We work pretty hard, and we're gonna hopefully keep continuing to add content to that site, to that wiki as well. If you want to more directly support us, you can directly support us via patreon.com/freezenet, and you can subscribe to a tier and get notifications of what we're up to. People who are subscribers knew about this video coming up. You can also try coffee.com/freezenet. That's a one-time donation thing if you want to do it that way. Every dollar helps. And it goes to the website, the YouTube channel, and our podcast. So until next time, keep it cool.